I don't want to say the same thing over that everybody's been saying all day, and so maybe I'll summarize a little bit of what we've been talking about, and then maybe talk about what it is that you can do as organizations, as the cyber industry, in order to actually start to manage this cyber risk. And so a lot of these talks have focused on the attacker and the landscape and how tough the problem is and all those sorts of things. And I'm not going to dwell on that because that's not necessarily something you can influence or change. And so this conversation around cyber risks in the fourth industrial age, I think, is really about where we're going, right? So this idea of Industry 4.0, fourth industrial age, of hyperconnectivity, ubiquitous computing, ubiquitous data. I mean, that's the technology, that's the business, that's the landscape that we're in the middle of creating as a society. And as we do that, we introduce new cyber risks. And so what can you do about that? I'll just go back to that because it's funny. This is me managing my risks. So we're in this fourth industrial age, and from a cyber perspective, we went from a compliance-driven solution or a compliance mindset. Then we were in an era of risk as we were computing everything and moving the back office and digitizing. But as we hyperconnect, we're entering this age of maturity and ubiquity. So, like it or not, we in the cyber industry, this is a mature industry. We have big conferences, we have lots of technology, we have millions of people. This is a maturing industry, and we need to behave like a mature industry. And ubiquity is about that this is everywhere. This is not just in the back office, in the IT world, right? This is fundamentally the business that we're all in. And so summarizing a little bit of the challenges, right, we have this exponential increase in the attack surface, right? We're protecting everything. We have a stagnation in the resources and the approaches that we're taking as an industry to manage our cyber risks. And we have, I think what we've heard for all 37 speeches up to today, an urgency for change, an inflection point. We need to do things differently. Also, we're shifting this balance, right, from IT to OT, from the back office to the front office, from where we're supporting the business to where technology is the business. And so when we were supporting the business, our cyber risk was that, well, the support systems would go down or be corrupted or be exposed. But when we are the business, then the business goes down, and we're not the business anymore. And so that's the fundamental shift here, and why it's increasingly more important, and why this is such a challenge. So what do we need to do? We've heard this several times, but maybe I'll highlight a story. In the 1990s, is anybody here from the oil and gas industry? Not usually here in Israel, so I'll pick on the oil and gas industry a little bit. Right, in the 1990s, there were a number of oil spills, and the real challenge in the oil industry was single-hull ships with one container of oil, right? And so if you breached the hull, the entire ship spilled, right? And that's what happened in Valdez, Alaska, in the mid-1990s. And at the time, Exxon looked at that and said, well, how did this happen? Why is it? I mean, we have a safety program. Our people have manuals. They know they're not supposed to, drive the ship into a big rock. Like, why did that happen? And what they came to realize is that it's not enough to have a safety program. They actually had to have a culture of safety, right? And a culture of safety it's everybody's responsibility. It's not the safety guy's responsibility to be safe and make the company safe. It's the company's responsibility to do that, right? And all of these ideas like SecDevOps or product security or an embedded security, that's about how do we enable the business to have a culture of security or a culture of trust, right? Because what we're trying to build is a trusted brand that will get into your self-driving car, that will buy your digital products, and that trust that you behave, you're a good custodian of their data, and that you are the brand that they want to work with. And having a cyber risk capability and a culture of trust is central to that. And so as an industry and as an organization, we need to think about how are we enabling the business to embed security capabilities, and how are we helping them create this culture of trust. Secondly, I mean, we've seen it again and over today, automate, automate, automate. I'll use an example of car safety systems. I can unlock the door of my car, I can get in, I can put on my seatbelt, I can hit the brakes, I can use lots of the safety systems. I manually interact with them. When I get in a crash, the airbags deploy automatically. I wouldn't have time to hit the airbag button, right? That wouldn't work. I'm in the middle of slamming my head into the windshield. And so I need that airbag to deploy automatically because I can't react fast enough as a human to that risk, to that issue. And so the idea of using automation is not a new one, right? But in the security industry, it's something that we really need to focus, not just to deal with the scale and the size and the lack of human talent and everything, right? But to deal with the fact that we're automating the security of things that are automated, and so it needs to be connected. So we need to really focus on automation, building robots, whatever it is, in order to enable that. And then third, and I think the CyberArk presentation hit it well, we need to center all of this around a new digital identity and build the capabilities to have identities of people, have identities of machine, have identities of microservices, have identities of everything that's out there, and be able to manage the interrelationship between them and the access rights between them. I mean, imagine the car example again. This is how are we managing the users and their keys and what do they have access to? But now in a self-driving world, how are we managing that at that machine scale? So that's really the third thing. That's all you need to remember, right? Drive a culture of security or trust. Automate, 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 and make sure we're focusing on identity, right? So then, what does this all give us, right? The reason for all these safety systems in the car are not to slow you down, right? Brakes on the car slow you down, yes, but why are they there? If you didn't have brakes, you could maybe go 3-4 kilometers an hour, and if you wanted to stop, you'd have to run into something or wait until inertia slowed you down, right? Brakes help you go fast. And that's what, as a cyber industry, we're trying to do, is we want our business to go fast. And so we need to build all these systems and enable our businesses to go fast in a way that supports the mission of the organization. So I think I'll leave you with that. If you want to get in touch with me, if you're left in the audience because you're looking for a job, you can hit me on LinkedIn. If you want to start up a conversation on Twitter, and certainly thank you for those who stayed for staying and for listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.